Alright, so back with another live analysis. Just going to go through the pairs, try and see what sort of key levels I'm looking out for heading into this week to kind of see if I can just capitalize in the market. So obviously zooming out here, we can see that this here with COVID has created a lower low, but anytime it's kind of come down to here, it started to like bounce back. We can see here, but it is setting these lower lows, and it's currently unable to set a higher high. You can also see that on the 4-hour chart though, it's kind of just ranging like within, I'd probably just say this area here, as of now. So I'd kind of want to wait for it to kind of break above. We can see that I have drawn like this downtrend arrow here, and obviously we can see this big ass downtrend arrow is obviously telling us that it is in that downtrend. But taking a look kind of at that previous levels before COVID, we can see that it was trading above, and also with my buys on like UJ going up as well. I do kind of think that this point right here is kind of a point of reversal, and it's going to start heading towards the upside, because with the election, you know, like once every 4 years or whatever, it's going to produce some kind of uncertainty within that US, like the USD. So a lot of the pairs are kind of in like weird levels right now, such as like this down here. This kind of little drop here was obviously that election, and we can see straight away it's kind of just rebounded and it's back up to here. So my bias on this pair is obviously, probably not obviously, because it is kind of like, it doesn't have a clear trend, but I do think that this pair here is going to start heading towards the upside, especially that because the election's done. So if I just drag these across, we can still kind of see that these levels, this one here and this one here, is still pretty relevant, but just for time's, not time's sake, but like trading time's sake, like the duration of the trade that I want to be in, I'm just going to delete that one and kind of look for a break and retest of this area towards the upside, and then use obviously these highs, and then with that I should be able to, hopefully with the fib, you know, kind of enter in at around like here, entering at around here in between that 0.5 over here, 0.6 level, and then obviously take that towards the upside there. So that's kind of just like a quick analysis for this pair, and you could see before, like that's what I already had on this analysis here. So taking a look here, I got a bit greedy, kind of one of those few extra pips here on the entry. If I did stay in it, I'd be up about 60 pips, which is kind of unfortunate, you know, but I guess it is what it is. But my bias for this pair is like still remains the same. We can see it hasn't hit that take profit yet, but I do think with most of like the US pairs, I do think that it's going to stay pretty bullish coming into the next few weeks, with the election kind of coming, well, not coming to a close, but in these pairs, we'll start to see like the US dollar kind of bounce back and have a bit more confidence within the dollar. Obviously unless like they do some crazy shit, but I like really doubt that will happen. I just think that these pairs here are obviously just going to start correcting, and for this pair here, obviously if I just zoom out here, we can see that these pre-COVID highs are up here. I mean, well, this is COVID highs, pre-COVID is down here, and we can see it's kind of just trading within this range, and anytime it did hit this low, it started to bounce back up, and we can see right now we're kind of at that low area, and so we probably should be looking for a high, a buy towards that upside here. So here we can see that I use the fib from this low to this high, and obviously we can see that an entry right on this key level here in between the 0.5 to 0.6 would have been a pretty nice entry. But like some people would have had like a pretty tight stop loss like this and target these highs up here, but for me I just kind of like to target a bit more. But like obviously here I would have closed half the position at least that 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, because let's whip out paint. Obviously if I'm risking $100 per trade and I'm making $100 per trade, then if I have a win rate of, let's just say 50.1%, then that way I will make at least $1 $1, blah blah blah, right? But if I had a risk to reward ratio of 0.5 and I'm risking $100 to only gain this $50 here, we can see that I would essentially have to win double the amount of trades that I lose. So for every 2 trades that I lose, I have to win 4 trades, and that's really bad. That's a 0.5 risk to reward ratio. And you know what we do with this? We scribble it out, because this is trash and you do not want to do that. So here obviously there's like nice risk to reward ratio. Then once it becomes 1 to 1, we can see here, move up the stop loss to break even. Hopefully it goes out. Unfortunately sometimes it doesn't, such as if we look at this pair here. I actually entered in on this pair down here, but then I moved my stop loss up here and it came back and obviously stopped me out there, which is kind of unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. So taking a look on this pair, I'm still kind of got that same bias and still think that this trade idea is alright to take towards the upside, but we are going to have to wait to see how it reacts to this, because it could continue to range within this area here for like a bit longer, but probably not that much longer. It's eventually going to have to break out and above, so I'm still pretty bullish on this pair. Alright, let's see if we can find some actual damn trades that I like to enter in for the week. Alright, we can see here that I kind of had a downwards bias, but it did keep going up. Luckily I didn't actually take this trade because I wasn't really confident in this setup, so pretty happy about that. We can also see here that with this line, it's kind of gone above that extreme high, so we'll just set that there. Now if we were to just like kind of zoom out here and then take a look, we can see that it does like hit these highs up here, so that could kind of show us that when it did hit the high up here, it went down. When it did hit the high up here, it went down. When it did hit the high up here, it went down. So we can kind of see that like maybe if it was to hit the higher here and we start seeing some signs of rejection, might be able to enter in on obviously a sell back downwards, right? But you don't really want to enter in at the peak of the reversal. You kind of want to enter in after some structure has been obviously developed. So with that, you'd want it to obviously come down, break a structure like a level of support, retest that previous level of support, which is now obviously a ceiling, and continue breaking down. And then on that second one there, that's when you're going to want to kind of enter in, let's just say this key level, and then hopefully start rejecting that, and then you can enter in. You don't really want to enter in at the peak of a reversal, because like you just saw pre-deletion of my previous analysis there, that if I would have just entered in straight away without there being any sort of market structure developed, then obviously this trade here would have been an L, a loss, and so like it wouldn't have been that good. Alright, so taking a look here, we can see that this pair has also created a higher high, so we'll just lift this up and move that there. We can also see this baseline level of support here, which I think is pretty good, so I'll mark that. We can also kind of see that there's this kind of support level there, but I'm going to use this one here as a resistance. So I'm using this one here because it's kind of more relevant. We can see with this area here, obviously this big chunk here, this area, and then this area here as well, it's all resistance for like that whole time. Instead of just marking it up here, it's probably better to just kind of mark it down here. We can also see if we zoom in that it does kind of reject it there, so that's kind of just the key level I'd be using on this pair. But in terms of what I think will happen, obviously we'll zoom out in here. You can see that it did trade kind of at the higher echelon of this of this range here in between these two lines, so seeing it go back above this is really nothing uncommon, and something that like could be expected, right? And we can also see like with these lows, never really hit these lows besides COVID, so like really my bias on this is probably up, but I think that there will be a correction. So what I'm thinking is that this pair obviously here is the impulse, so now we'll end up seeing the correction back down, and then you can enter back in on that buy towards the upside. So maybe if I were to use like a fib, so we'll whip out the fib, my favorite tool, obviously from this low down here to this high up here, just there, then you can kind of see that you'd want your entry to be hopefully at around this level here, where it is a level of support here, and then obviously resistance. So you'd want to see it come back and test this area as a level of support. So my phone actually says disconnected from chat, so let me just fix that real quick. Alright, hopefully it comes up. Alright, there we go. So chat's fixed. Sorry if you said anything, you're just gonna have to type it again if you did. So that's kind of what I'm expecting for this pair in particular, but then obviously I have to see how it kind of develops in the week, and if it does end up coming here, I do think that this would be a pretty good entry and a pretty good buy to take actually towards the upside. And like, you could really target these highs and really just set your stop loss like down here and have that 3 risk to reward ratio, but even then it's still like pretty high stop loss, and it'll still take a pretty long time. So what you can do is kind of set your stop loss below this market structure down here, and then here you can see you've almost got that 4 risk to reward ratio. So let's say for example I risk 3%, 3 times 4, what's that, 12, quick math. So then I would have made 12% off this trade. Now what's 12% of $2,000, because that's kind of the account size I trade. 12%, that's around $140 on this one trade alone, which would be plenty, and that would obviously get me to my FTMO $100,000 challenge. So that's kind of just my trade idea on that pair. So taking a look here, we can obviously see that I was kind of interested in entering on a buy after seeing this rejection here, from here obviously to the upside, which it did end up just hitting take profit. But to be honest, I don't know why I wasn't watching this, because I really would have entered in on this, but I was mostly just watching my my UJ pairs, or like my USD pairs this week, like these ones here, like the ones that have this little thing on it. I was mostly watching that, but taking a look here at this one, it is like an exceptional trade that I really should have taken. And obviously like what I think is going to happen now is probably going to be some correction, or it could just break above. So like obviously really this was a good trade, and the only thing I could have done better was actually enter in on this trade towards the upside. And you can see like the analysis was there already. Simply I just wasn't looking at the charts at this time, and that's why I didn't enter in. Obviously once I do have like that extra capital, extra money to waste essentially, I'm gonna like put money into TradingView just so I can get those extra notifications and kind of just be on the charts throughout most of the time during the day, just so I can actually enter in on these like sort of trades. How's my progress for FTMO? So my progress for FTMO is I'm using the profits from my $2,000 account to fund for the application for the 100k account. So I needed to make around $700 for it, and I started with 2 grand. So let's just quickly log into it and I'll show you guys what the account is actually at right now, even though this is kind of like a bit off track. So definitely not Sniper Doofus Trades, that is not my account. Obviously logging in through Facebook. Alright, so now we're kind of just logging in here. We can kind of see the account, but no one knows the password. So right now I need to get to 2700 to apply for the account, and I did start with obviously that 2k. So we can see here that so far I've made I've made $611. I made $611.21 profit in total on this account. I've really only got like what is that, like $89 left to go on this account, but it only costs around 677 or so to do. So there I've really got $66 to make, but obviously 2700 just makes it easier math. So for that I would have about $89 left to go, and then obviously this $50 account is just my mate's account that I'm using. Well, I'm not using it, but I'm just trying to teach someone how to trade, because he's kind of like an idiot. So that's how that account's going. And obviously hopefully I'll pass the FTMO challenge with my trading ability, and then I'm able to kind of, you know, just live off of trading. Hopefully I make like 10% a month, and then after a few months, few years or whatever, making that 10% a month could equal easily over 20 grand. So that's what I think. I'm an idiot as well, help me. Yeah, I could give it a crack. So like this guy, he's like a mate that I've known for like a bit. So we actually like got into trading together, and if you want to see like the video of me like actually talking to him and kind of discussing how I like got into trading and that sort of stuff, I'll just get the video and kind of link it in the chat, but first I have to find it. So it's actually, if you want to see it, you're going to want to click on feature videos here, and then you're going to want to search up how I started trading Q&A. So it's actually just this video here, so I'll link that one. You can give that one a watch. It kind of just gives like my starting on trading and that sort of stuff. But like I don't really like do signals or like actual teaching on how to trade, because it's pretty like basic and stuff and how to trade. The only like sort of real advice that I can give people on how to trade is to like, you just need to gain experience, so you just need to do it. Like just put on some grown up pants, chuck in 50 bucks, and then just lose it all. Like no one really cares if you lose 50 bucks. Obviously I lost my first account just because I over leveraged, but then like now you can, like here I'm able to make like some money, a few $100s a month and that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool. Like even not this week but last week or whatever, I made $125 in one day off one trade, and like that 6% obviously on the 100k would have been 6 grand that I could have made in one day. So already subscribed and watch most of your videos, thanks man, I appreciate it. You already know, once I get this channel to 100 subs, then I'll be giving away a $50 account. Once I get it to 500 subs, I'll be giving away like a $250 account. Once I get the channel to 1 million, I'll be giving away a $500,000 account. You know, so whatever half the subs I have, I'll be giving out an account that size. Probably. Maybe not once I get to like 10 million subs, because I'm not giving away a $5 million account. But probably up to like $1,000 I'll start giving away accounts. Anyway, that was kind of off track, but continuing on, we're just going to head over to GBP JPY. So taking a look here, we can kind of see that this level here still remains relevant. As you can see, it breaks above it, and then it comes back and tests it as a support, and then shoots back up. And then we can see once it does drop below, then here it ends up being a bit of a resistance here. And we can see this support level is also still relevant. And so we're going to just really have to see how it reacts to this area here. But let's just whip out a fib, for example, and we'll see what it kind of says here. Because it looks like I didn't actually do much analysis. So we can see that an entry between this 0.5 to 0.6 on the key level, like it's really that simple. Like I know I say it a lot and it like sounds like bogus, but really all it is kind of just trading a trend. So obviously this trend here, this is like the whole strategy. So here we can see, identify this little uptrend here from this point to this point. So bang, we found the trend, uptrend. Then we put in some random ass fibs and key levels. Bang, we put them in here. Then you just want to read it. So this 0.5 to 0.6 level, obviously that's a good sign. Then you want to enter in on the key level within that area. So you can see the key levels here. So enter in here. You could target these highs, or you could be a bit more passive and kind of target something like this, or really you could just target something like up there and have a previous high stop loss, something like this, right? But here you can already see how this like sort of trade works, and there you go. Like that's kind of the whole trading plan, strategy, whatever you want to call it, game plan. That's like really how simple it is. So obviously after taking a look at this analysis, I'm still pretty biased on it, but if it is unable to go above this area here, then obviously I'll be thinking that it's heading towards the downside. So like with Forex, like what I try to do with this live analysis is kind of just mark up some new relevant key levels, because when you're trading Forex, you're not really looking to predict the market in a sense of, I'll look at it today, I'll do some analysis, and I'll know where it's going by Wednesday. The thing that I'm trying to do is kind of just mark up key levels and then see how it reacts to those key levels. And then if it reacts the way that I want it to react, then I'll enter in. So like if we were to zoom in here, right, on this pair, and we see this is the 0.5 line, this is a 0.6 line, this is the key level. We can see here that it drops. Then we can see with this candle, we can see that it shoots all the way back up to here, and then obviously it closes down below. So that's a shooting star, and that's like an engulfing pattern, or whatever candlestick patterns people call it. But what I just think is that that's a sign of rejection, right? So then there I've marked up the key level of where I want to see kind of my signs to enter in on. So here I've seen the sign where it's showing that rejection, and then I just enter in. So like trading Forex, you just react to the market, you don't actually predict the market. So that's kind of my 2 cents. Like on this pair here, I've already missed my trading setup. I could enter in here, but something I've learned through trading, obviously like my smaller $60 account, is that it's pretty bad to just to chase profits. You'd rather just, if you've missed, obviously like here, obviously if I've missed my entry, my desired entry on this pair, there's no point to just enter in when I could really just wait for another trade and enter in, because maybe once I enter in on this pair, then that could be a bad entry point compared to when I actually wanted to get in. Maybe here, if I was to enter in on a buy here, where it is now, and target these highs, maybe then the trade goes sideways and it actually just starts dropping, and then that way like I've lost, I've really just like lost my stuff, right? So that's why you don't really want to chase profits. Alright, so let's just head on to the next pair. So obviously we'll just drag this key level across, because I can see that it still remains relevant as a point of resistance here. I can see this extremely high thing here. I did actually want to get in, but I did delete it. This was last week, I deleted it, and to be honest, I just missed it. There's not much I can blame that on. Obviously if we take a look here, this market structure isn't really looking too nice. We can see that it is in this uptrend. In terms of like key levels, really, there isn't really too many that are relevant. The only one I could kind of see is where this area here, but then also like we can see there it's a bit of resistance here, it does drop, but then here it's like a bit of support. There it is kind of a support, it's kind of resistance there, it's kind of support. So it's not really like the strongest thing that I've ever seen. It's not really a type of market structure I would like to trade or enjoy trading, but we can also see that it is kind of like close to this high, to this extreme high, so maybe we could see it come back down. But we can also see that pre-COVID, obviously this here is a COVID low, then pre-COVID highs are like up to here, and then so maybe it could easily just break out above and start shooting up. But obviously I'm not predicting the market, I'm just looking for levels to react at. So the next level to react at is probably something like up here, because I wouldn't really want to react to it at here, because it could just hit this point and then start shooting down, that we have seen previously. We can see that here hits this point and starts shooting down, hits pretty high up where it is now and starts shooting down. So we don't really want to enter in at here on a buy hoping it breaks this point, when if you just look in the history, or like in the past, that when it does hit this point, it does kind of just shoot back down. Like it's really just it's just like that. Alright, so taking a look here, obviously I can see that there's this little uptrend here, right here, so we could enter in on a buy. So now I can see that it is in this uptrend and I don't have a point of resistance lined up for me, so that's the next thing I'm going to do. So if I go over to here and kind of mark up like a level of resistance, I can kind of see that there's one here, so I'm going to draw that up. I can see here that it's resistance, support, support, and then obviously here it looks like it's being a resistance. Then the next one after that I would mark personally is just this one up here, because these ones, wait, let me just mark this, because this one over here, like these ones here, they're kind of too small for me to trade in. Like maybe someone that's like a scalper or trades on 15-minute time frames would obviously use those key levels, but for me, as kind of like I look for my key levels on the 4-hour, because those key levels tend to really work for me, and then obviously I look for my entries on that 1-hour time frame. That kind of is what worked for me. That's what's made me $600 in the last 9 weeks on only a $2,000 account, which is pretty good. So yeah, like if it just works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So my strategy obviously right now isn't broke, so I'm not really nothing to fix, right? So we'll just head over to Euro USD. So just going to drag this along, as I can still see that it's kind of support there, and then obviously over here I can see that it's still being resistance. So in terms of what's happened during the week, I can't actually remember what levels I marked up from last week, last week's live analysis, because that live analysis was scuffed. I had some damn technical issues and I've only got 17 views on it, which is, you know, I don't really care about views, but 17, damn, I feel bad, because there was like 100 people that watch generally the live analysis, so it's kind of unfortunate for them. But I did upload it to YouTube, so shout out to Sniper Doofus on YouTube, check it out, exclamation mark YouTube to see that one. And then, so back to what I'm actually supposed to do. Taking a look here, I can kind of just identify here that there's a slight uptrend, but then we can also see that it's unable to kind of break above this point here. So what I would be looking for is probably just a break of this structure up here, and then obviously like it would look like this, right? So breaks above, then comes back down, then starts rejecting this area like this, and then starts obviously heading towards the upside. That's what I would be looking for on this pair. I wouldn't really want to enter in on it right now, as it is only kind of, it is going up, but it did set this double top right around here and here, and well, like the double top, I mean like this point and this point, but then I guess if you want to use this point here and this point, a quadruple top, which kind of just means it's unable to kind of get above that resistance. So maybe if it doesn't break below this level of support here, then possibly it will go and break that resistance, because it has to do one of them eventually. It's not just going to sit here till the end of time, obviously, or actually you never know, it could just sit here till the end of time, but I really don't think it will. And then so obviously just going to see how it reacts to those two key levels. Obviously if it goes above, that's showing up as momentum, entering on a buy. If it starts breaking, if it breaks below supports, then that's kind of showing me that there's a shift in the momentum. If it continues heading downwards, and that's when I'm probably going to enter in on like a short and hopefully make some money. If you know that reference, it's from Ben Maller. Let's see if we can find anything like it. Ben Maller, make some money. Oh, it's just the way he says it, it's pretty cool. Alrighty, practice makes perfect, wagon. Yep, that is facts. So taking a look here, you can kind of see that if we just zoom out, where's COVID, March. Okay, well, COVID is a pretty weird for this pair, but we can see that if we take a look pre-COVID, it's kind of trading back at its regular levels, so I'm probably going to expect this pair here to continue heading down. So we'll just obviously mark this up here as this little downtrend from this high to this low. It's obviously in this downtrend, right? So we can also see that there was this break just here, it's come back up and retested it, so it could end up coming back down to this level. Now if it breaks this level as well, then that there could be a sign to kind of enter in on that sell opportunity. Like maybe let's just see what it looks like on the upwards fib, because I feel like it'll look pretty good. So there, it looks alright, but like if we were to use kind of the downtrend fib, we would kind of want it to hit down to here, down to these levels, then come back up and then enter in obviously over there. Oops. But really, like, yeah, for this pair here, I wouldn't really use a fib from up here. I'd probably use it from this high up here, and then obviously if we were to go down, then we can see that in between this 0.5 to 0.6 on that key level right there. So like, just to show you guys what it would look like, there would be 38 pips in profit, target previous market structure, there, bang, making money. Money. So that's what it would look like on that pair. But obviously I didn't enter in, but these here are obviously the levels that I'm looking at for the week. So taking a look here, I'm pretty biased on this uptrend here. I do think that this here is probably going to be a point of well, I did think that it would be a point of reversal, which it wasn't, and I should have known this, because if I actually take a look pre-COVID, so this here is obviously a mistake on my part, it's trading, well, it was trading well below obviously this range here that I put in, right? Sorry, I just had a brain lag, fart, whatever, and so it really is able to kind of come back below. So I'm kind of just going to have to wait to see how this pair develops, and I would like to see kind of that further rejection. But I did really want to enter in on at this point right here and then take it towards the upside. Obviously right now it is in that 4 pips negative, but let's say we close half the position here, we had our stop loss at around here, 30 pips. We can see that this here would have been like 2%, close half the trade, move stop loss to 0, it would have stopped there in the next hour. But at the end of the day, that's still 1%, and on 100k, 1% is still equivalent to 1k. So even if I only made 1% in one trade, that is still plenty of money for the day. Like if I was to make $1,000 off of a trade, I'd still be pretty happy about that. So taking a look here at EuroCAD, this is kind of just what I'm seeing. So I used the fib from this low to this high, even though there is no high yet. I was just kind of checking out what level it would have to be, what a level this market structure would have to be at for me to kind of enter in on this key level. But like if we were to use, let's just say this area here, and then find a key level, we can kind of see that there's a bit of a key level right here, as we can see that it's kind of a support level here and here, and then we can see here it kind of just stays resistance for this part, and then like, so if we were to use that as a key level, then obviously an entry, if this here came back down to here, then that would have been a nice entry to take towards the upside, which in my opinion I do think that this will come back down for that nice entry. But then obviously once again, if we do take a look pre-COVID, we can see here this is a COVID high that we reached, but then again pre-COVID it did actually trade a lot below this range that we had post-COVID. So here it definitely has that potential to start heading down towards the downside there, especially with this being in a downtrend. So with this being in that downtrend, obviously we're going to be wanting to look for a short position on this pair. So if you actually, well, you guys wouldn't have realized, but I realized because I'm obviously analyzing the charts. So use this high, this low here, we can see that an entry within like this 0.5 area, we can see that there would have been obviously that slight drawdown here, here, which wouldn't really be that good, and it is being quite choppy. So probably for me, after seeing that this pair here is being extremely choppy, I would probably just start looking to close this position, as I'm not really trusting the analysis anymore. But we can see that it would be only 1 pip negative, and it does have that potential to kind of start heading down. But you know, you don't really want to force trades at the end of the day. Damn, I am starving and I don't know what to eat. Alright, so zooming out and taking a look here, we can see that it's kind of trading at these pre-COVID levels. We can see this bigger spike here is COVID. I just feel like drawing some arrows, so I'm gonna just draw in some arrows. Alright, so we can see that the top of this here is COVID, obviously. You can see here is pre-COVID, so we can kind of see that it's coming back down to the pre-COVID lows. Kinda, but not really. It's kind of like in the average of the pre-COVID area. So obviously we're just going to mark up some key levels, some areas where we think we should be looking to see how this market's reacting. So I'm going to just draw this one here as a level of support. Damn, it is late. Look at it, 1:40 AM, getting out the content. I'll also drag this across here because I can see that it's staying relevant as that level of resistance. And here I can also see that here with this low, it's kind of close to that extreme low, so possibly it could go back up towards the high, bro, this high up here. But then obviously I like to start seeing some structure being developed and put in here. So you can see a bunch of arrows here, just identifying some trends. But then here, if I was to take a look here, I can kind of just see that there's this, it's kind of just ranging in here sideways after this big impulse move. It hasn't really corrected much. The only correction it's kind of done is just this little section here, and it's continued going up, but it is unable to break the high. Then here we can see that it's created a lower high, and then here once again it's created a lower high. So that's kind of showing us that the signs that this start might heading towards that downside. And for me, I do think that it might start coming back down. But then obviously in trading, we're kind of just looking to see how it reacts to those key levels. So if it does come back up to here, maybe I would enter in. Let's just zoom out and have a look. So we can see pre-COVID kind of traded on like this lower echelon of this range here. So this area is pretty high for this pair to be in. We can also see that previously when it did hit around up here, it did start tanking. Even up here it started tanking. Like with that, obviously probably going to be more bias on this heading towards the downside. And being from Australia, like having the Australian dollar by more than 70 cents to the US dollar is kind of a lot and unexpected. So having like around 73 to even reaching the 74 cents is kind of a lot. So I'm probably gonna, once it does hit kind of those levels there, probably gonna be looking to short this pair here and start taking it towards that downside. Let's just take out Apple and stuff, kind of see how it's going. You can see here that it's coming back to around this resistance. Kind of looking to buy in on more shares. I've got about, I don't know, $700 is floating in there, looking to buy in on some stuff. So here we can see that it did drop, so it's probably like a decent time to enter in on Microsoft. AMD, not really looking to enter in on that right now. And then obviously with Tesla heading into the S&P 500, it's looking like it's cracked that $500 mark a few times. Obviously gonna look to buy in on some more Tesla shares, because I do think that it is a great company based off the fundamentals. It's got extremely impressive like battery news and stuff, like battery tech and stuff like that. Obviously its automobiles are amazing, and yeah. So with that said, guys, that's going to be the end of obviously the YouTube video, because it's going to go up on YouTube in case you miss it and want to check it out there. But also it's going to be the end of the stream. Obviously if you want to ask me some questions, I'll stick around for around 2 minutes. So like obviously if I take a look here, 2 minutes is to 1:46. So if you have any questions, just chuck it down below, and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Anyway, see ya.